Hey, I'm glad you're here, and welcome to my adventures in gardening. And I garden in Connecticut, Zone 6, and today is my big garden tour. Today is when I'm going to show you the big picture of the property, my gardens here, and I've been showing little snips all season long, and I'm not saying that today is the grand finale of the season, but it definitely is the peak right before the decline into fall. Now I grow food and flowers here, and I do it full time. I do not have any hired help of any kind, and gardening is definitely a process. So is everything perfect here? No, it never will be perfect because it is just a process, and it's a process that I love. So today we're going to look at the flower gardens, at the vegetable gardens, at the shade gardens, and just give you a general big picture of this space that I call my home. So we're going to go ahead and get started in the front yard. So let's get going. So there's really a lot to see today. So if I skim over something and that you want to know more about, please just leave me a comment below and ask, because I'm all too happy to talk about the garden. I have gardened here for 23 years, and I've been gardening for over 30 years. And little by little, we have made this into gardens, and these are knockout roses right on the road, underplanted with some Lismachia. We've had some pretty wild weather this year. We've had dry spells and very wet, rainy spells. My goal has always been to have dahlias peeking over the fence here. And I have a great collection of dahlias. I adore dahlias. But that will be another separate breakout video for me to really talk about dahlias. We'll look at them right now, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. So this is our front yard. I have some rhubarb over here by the fence. This is strawberries and cream. This one is Sandra. Breakout, I love Breakout. Gorgeous. Peanut brittle. Bracken Sarah. Maniac. Alloway Candy. Hi Darcy. Apricot Star. Bahama Mama. My red cactus. I can't remember this one's name. Jitterbug. This one is either Rinfu or Mother's Day Special. I'm not sure. And this is Wine-Eyed Jill. It's a new one for me this year. AC Rosebud. Another Maniac. More Bahama Mama. And this is Labyrinth. And there's a few that actually have not bloomed yet. But when the dahlias start to bloom, it's like seeing old friends again. I'm always so excited to see them. Now this garden bed in the front has been the easiest. These are the easiest gardens to maintain, they really are. And I think it's because we started from scratch. We had nothing here. It was all, we did the beds, the borders, and filled it with new soil. So they are definitely low maintenance, and I just love how they've come out. You can see that there's some dried nigella back there. And I like the nigella to pop up between all of the other plants in this spring and early summer. And I don't mind seeing the dried pods either. I think that they are attractive. I've got my 2 large containers out in front here that are looking good. I plant elephant ears every year. I dig them in the fall and then I replant them in the spring. And they look really great. I can't wait to see the berries this year on this Pearl Glam. These shrubs, there are 4 of them in the front border, and they have actually not looked great. 3rd year, I believe they're here. I can't wait to see how they turn out. So I like to tuck some annuals in here just to give some interesting color, and so far this African daisy, this osteospermum, has been my favorite to see. The zinnias just got eaten up by the slugs that were in here because everything is so dense. It was a great hiding place for them. So they didn't work out, but the African daisies definitely did. So next year I will be putting some more, and I like to see the white flowers in between all the other plants. Great carpet of ajuga, chocolate chip ajuga. Looks good. You can see in the background all of the nigella that the seeds are dropping, making more plants for next year. And on my pergola, I have Dutchman's pipevine. And interesting story, we are just north of where the pipevine swallowtail, where their habitat is, and I saw one this year. So I thought, how did it know that this plant was here? But I was very excited to see it. The hanging baskets I do mostly from seed. I have dichondra and some irisine in them that are holding their own. I keep coleus as houseplants to take cuttings from, and then I bring them out and put them in the pots on the porch, and I just love the way they look against the color of our house. So I have a few groupings of coleus and begonias and sensitive fern that I grow from seed so that the kids can see the sensitive fern, so they can see science. I grow citrus trees in containers. I bring them in the wintertime. I do let them dip down to 37, 38, just to recognize that it is winter and it's time to shut down. Otherwise, I end up with a lot of scale and a lot of mealybug. If you grow citrus inside, this is my grandmother's orange tree that I've had for over 20 years, and so this is a quite old tree that I keep clipped and manageable. We actually get quite a few lemons and oranges. So this is the other side of the house here, and I've got this border with lamb's ear and echinacea, blueberry bushes. Oh, and I did some ageratum from seed that I thought looked really pretty. I actually have these in quite a few different areas. They've been a great in-between season plant when nothing else is blooming. So, and I like the color. The Caryopteris are just coming into bloom. There are a few of these in my gardens. The bees and the butterflies just love them. Here are where I have the majority of the peppers, along with some other things. This is kale that got a major cutback about a month ago. I cut them down to just stalks, and then they have leafed out beautifully. They had the cabbage moth worms on them. And these are Kalima beans here. There's just two of us, so I will do smaller amounts. And it is just enough for us. I say that, but wait until you see. There's always big amounts of something. And these are watermelon radish here, so there's a few of those. But there's a lot of beautiful peppers. This is violet sparkle that does turn red if you will let it, and they are very sweet when they're red. But there's a lot of those peppers. We always have more produce than we can eat. I like to preserve it when I can or share it with other people. These are pepperoncinis, and they turn orange and then they turn bright red, and these are great pickled. And these are eggplant, which I have gotten a few eggplants off of them so far. That's flea beetle damage on the leaves there. This is King of the North pepper, and these are over here all by themselves because I need the seed of this plant this year, so there's only 3 of those. This is the 3rd crop of yellow crookneck squash in my garden, and I will just grow 2 or 3 in a place at a time. Anywhere I can, I'll tuck some herbs. This is oregano, and that is thyme, and some Welsh onions. The Welsh onions are strategically planted there against the foundation or near the foundation of the house so that I have them longer into the season and earlier in the season. And before we go in the back flower garden, I will show you from the outside. I did the queen lime zinnias here this year, and this was a great decision. They are gorgeous. They look good all the time. They look good when they're even old. I do have some old asparagus. You can see just some small clumps of asparagus. And I just found that for my garden, for my size garden, it doesn't have the biggest bang for my buck, okay? So I let the ones that want to grow, but I do have this prairie fire tomato. I have 3 of these in these obelisks. If you're not growing this tomato and you like sweet tomatoes, this one is awesome. I cannot tell you. Just try it. This is a great tomato. It is sweet, it is beautiful, it is well behaved. Who could ask for anything more, really? And this is what it looks like when it's ripe. They're a snacking sized tomato. This is not a plum tomato. This is a sweet, yummy tomato. And I like to make salsa with these, as well as fresh eating, as well as cooking with them. This is a wonderful tomato. Semi-determinate. Gotta love that. I love that. I love semi-determinate tomatoes. So they are tucked here with the queen lime zinnias. I think that they look fantastic. And this is fennel. I have one. Fennel will go crazy in your garden if you let the seeds drop, but I have one that I let come back every year. It's so pretty. This is a Montauk daisy. It's kind of funny. Every year it's different. It hasn't even thought about putting buds on yet, but they are huge, so big. I almost forgot. I've got this little garden over here with the dappled willows growing, and all of these begonias I started from cutting. So there's a lot more that I could do in here. Maybe plant something a little brighter. This is a semi-shaded area. It does get some intense sun at one point in the day, but next year. This is a next year project, but I think it looks really nice right now. So this is the back flower garden. This was the original garden, the first garden that I had. And here's what I have to say before we go in. This gets the least amount of attention. It really does. It looks good from the outside. This time of year, there's not too much to see, but I will walk you through the paths. On the outside, there is perilla. Perilla is a self-sowing annual herb, and I like it on either side of my gate here. This is sweet autumn clematis that has not bloomed yet, but we're just thinking about it. I like this look. I like the sunken garden feeling. Got to duck down a little bit when I come in. Echinacea, and I've got some lamb's ear. And if I go to the right, it'll take me to the hosta garden. And if I go straight, it'll take me down to the water. Now this project going down my stone stairs here, I did not get to anything this year. So next year, I'll work on it. There is a log down below where the turtles hang out. And when my daughter was little, we used to have a bench at the top of the hill and we would sit and read while we were sitting here. So it's still very beautiful even though it's not maintained. So the gardens have a few different paths in them, and this is one here. And they all just kind of go in a circle. And this is my shade garden here that I worked on a little bit this year, up to right here. And so I've got some hostas that are a little tired. There's a lot of trees over top. So I do have to take and hand water. This little beauty right here is it Sun King Aurelia? It is a wonderful addition to the hosta garden. A lot of the hostas have gone to seed. Yes, I let them flower. Some look better than others. And I have a little cluster of houseplants that I keep here. It's my hosta island. The ones that are blooming in the back, I just love the fragrance. It smells like an Easter lily. It smells so nice. So this is the back side of where the queen lime zinnias were. And the poppies, these are poppies down in here. They were gorgeous this year, and I cut them back completely because the foliage was all over everything. This is another entrance to the same garden, and it just takes you back to the water. I've got a couple of butterfly bushes that are gorgeous. I love this one, and also this big tall yellow one. I like that it takes up so much space, and we have so many pollinators in the garden. This is Amsonia, that is a monster, and I have zigzagged my bamboo stakes to keep it off of the path. My granddaughter loves to walk through here. It's adventure for her. And there are a few different looking echinacea in here that I love. There are some, in the spring and summer, there are orange and yellow. But I have found that as long as I keep my paths maintained, the garden seems to look really good. Our patio area is full of elephant ears in pots that I overwintered in the pots, and self-sown portulaca. This is a double flowering variety that I grow from seed, and I just think they are gorgeous. I love the doubles. calibrachoa has a lot of bang for its buck, and I keep one as a houseplant and I take cuttings from it. So this little garden here is relatively new. I purposely planted some things, and some things were volunteers. The Agastache is all a volunteer. I love this. This is bluebird Agastache. It pops up everywhere. The Artemisia, I think there's 2 of them. There's some echinacea in here and some volunteer calendula. This is actually one of my favorite plants. This is spotted bee balm that are tired looking right now. I know how tired looking they are. But I would love to see this whole area filled with spotted bee balm. They do self-sow. These are plants that have fallen into the grass. I think I might actually just expand this garden area because there's really no point. I hate mowing on this hill. So I'm thinking I might expand and just do more of the same. But yeah, I love this. You can see all through the grass. I've got some, and I will probably try to salvage those and weed them out. This is my hugelkultur hill with zucchini rampicante and Seminole pumpkin. And the zucchini rampicante has piqued a lot of interest in people. I did a video 2 years ago talking about it, and I'm going to do a comparison video because I have heard that the Seminole pumpkin is very similar to zucchini rampicante. I have a peach tree that I grow on the hill along with a cherry tree that has mostly defoliated. That's not a good sign at all. I used to have apple trees on this hill until the beaver came and took them away. Beaver said, "No more for you." Haha. And this way takes you back to the front yard where the dahlias are, and this way takes you to my vegetable garden. I do have 2 of these columnar apple trees, and I do not believe there are any apples left on it. The other one is over here. It's new. This one has been in place for quite a while. But this is my main area that is strictly vegetables. I have a cattle panel tunnel with cherry tomatoes on this side and cucumbers right now on this side. In the early spring there are peas here. And on my wall I grow strawberries and blueberries, so I can pick my strawberries from right here. And I turn this vegetable garden over a few times in the season. I've got beautiful kale growing here. This pot has 1 early flame jalapeno that I will take and bring into the greenhouse so that it goes further into the season. This is a great jalapeno, very flavorful, not just heat. Now the tomatoes and the cucumbers, this is not pristine and beautiful, but they are still being so productive. Now on the outside of my cattle panel, I have a little area that is growing lettuce right now. This is Marvel of 4 Seasons lettuce. And you can see the cucumbers and the beans from the outside. They look pretty good. These are potatoes that are not ready to be harvested yet. They keep producing greens. I have them mulched with grass clippings. And I usually get a decent amount of potatoes out of this corner here. Yes, Piper. Piper wants the attention. Over here are Craig's Grande jalapeno. There are 2 plants here. These, like the name implies, get very large. And I have one Hungarian black jalapeno in the back. This is a poblano pepper. This is a massive, massive poblano pepper. This is Cœur de Boeuf tomato. I have a few of those still coming on. Most of my big tomatoes, well, not most, a lot of the big tomatoes are done for the season. But check out all the poblano peppers on this. So I've got some spent echinacea here, but I leave them for the birds. This is another, these are very, very tall zinnias that are growing behind the poblano peppers. But they've got to be like 6 feet tall at this point. This is year 3 of these euonymus. They look great. So this is terraced, and I'm going to actually take you down into here for the very first time. It's not a walk-through garden, it's just more of a display garden that you can see from above and from below. But on either side of my stairs going back down into the garden, I have an early wonder tomato. And the early wonder tomato is a fantastic determinate tomato that, and I know it's spotty right now. We have had just such harsh weather this year, but they just keep producing these big, beautiful tomatoes. I mean, really big, beautiful tomatoes. So I've got some in the greenhouse that I'm going to show you as well. This is horseradish right here. So going through the cattle tunnel now, from the inside it does look pretty ragged. This is Rosella cherry tomato, super sweet, love, love, love Rosella. You can see the beans and the cucumbers hanging from inside. This is a great way to grow plants. Easy to pick. These need to be picked. Okay, put it on the list. This is blueberry cherry tomato. More Rosella. This is our favorite cherry, so I've got a few of these in here. This is Stupus. This is a little bit larger. This is a great tasting true tomato flavor. This is Honey Drop. This is a little sweeter. Well, not as sweet as Rosella, but different. It's got a more of a tropical flavor to it. Blue cream cherry. Oh, I love this one. This is delicious. And I've got these great clusters of Berry's Crazy Cherry. There's some more beans growing right here with some ground cherries. I did not let the ground cherries just go wherever they wanted to this year, and of course this would be the year that my granddaughter comes looking for them. So there's just one plant right now, but they are growing over the wall, and I love that. This is another batch of the last zucchinis. This is third planting of zucchinis. There are 3 right here, and then there are a couple over in between the Purple Rain tomato. The Purple Rain are just about done for the year. I harvested, I don't know, 16 to 20 heads of cabbage, and I cut a few of them off, and I'm trying to see if I can get a few smaller heads to grow, so I left the stalks there. But there are some beets tucked in between. You can see the beets coming up now. And I still have some carrots right there that have not been harvested yet. But the cattle panel from the outside looks a lot neater and cleaner than the cattle panel from the inside. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to walk over into there because I want to show you Queen Lime Orange zinnias. They are unbelievable. So there's a new plant that I'm growing this year from seed, that I grew from seed this year, and it's called Leonotis lion's ear, I believe. And that is the very, very tall plant that is growing right there. Now, this is not a plant that I recommend everybody grow, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. Okay, there are some hazards that come with this plant. I have this row of lavender on the edge of the wall here. All right, so the Leonotis. This is a plant that you need to read up on before you decide to grow it, because it does have some hazards when it comes to it, and this is not the only hazard. See these things right here? They literally stick into my skin like little pins. It is a great background plant, but I don't recommend putting them anywhere where children are going to be. But I have them planted with these queen lime orange zinnias, and these I just love. You can see that there is dill everywhere in here, and it looks so beautiful with the dill, a lime green color with the orange zinnias. These zinnias got very, very tall. I'm gonna get a little closer. I do have some shrubs. We'll see this from below, but I do have some shrubs that are going over the edge, and I love that as well. But look at these. Oh, I just love these. Yeah, so we are in a little pocket garden that is part of the terraced hill here. So along with the orange, I planted this calendula, and you know, it really didn't show from down below at all, and that's okay. I know these are going to self-sow, and I'll see them again next year. But they really are pretty. Gorgeous. This is Mira pepper growing in these pots here. Again, I'm going to move these into the greenhouse before the weather gets too cold so that I can extend their season a little bit. I might try to overwinter these, see if I can get them to go dormant. This is a delicious pepper. I have some radish growing down in here. I try very hard not to let any space go empty during the growing season. Oh, this is my pollinator alley on, ooh, sorry Piper, I just stepped on my cat. Pollinator alley growing right here. It is early in the day. There's not a lot of pollinators out yet, but normally during the day, if the sun is out, this area is literally buzzing with pollinators. This is mountain mint here. I have Lismachia growing between the steps. This is a volunteer tomato growing over the wall here. And I normally pull the volunteers because I like to know who they are. I'm thinking this is honey drop, so I'll know shortly which one it is, but kind of looks cool growing over the wall. You can see the ageratum again in the pots on the stairs. Now on this side I have like this little garden. This is an area that I haven't maintained very well, but I do have some things growing here like these cucamelon. This is my greenhouse garden, and growing on my arbor is the burr gherkin, and it grows like mad, and it looks like a medieval weapon. If anybody's eating these, please tell me how you're eating them, because I did try and it was not enjoyable. I did not enjoy it, but I will tell you, this plant does not want to go up. I keep wrapping it up. It wants to go in the grass, which makes it a little difficult. Now on the outside of my greenhouse, I've got these two big pots that just have a lot of different things in them. Some zinnias, some celosia. I've got these beautiful morning glories that I grew that haven't done anything yet until right about now. But I do like the white on the outside. I think they look really pretty. So my greenhouse is full of early wonder tomatoes. This was such a great decision on my part. I have to say, sometimes you get things just right and sometimes you don't. This I got just right. So there are 6 of them in big terracotta pots, and I've got big tomatoes that are coming on. I do close this at night now because our night temps are going down. I do have yellow leaves, that is okay. I do pick them off, but we're gonna see how long into the season we get to go with these tomatoes. They are getting quite tall. Also in the greenhouse, I never really stop planting things. I've got some Marvel of Four Seasons lettuce going, some basil, some little container tomatoes, and those are Alaskan Fancy. So we'll see. It's always an experiment to see what I can get out of the garden and the greenhouse. This is also where Piper does most of her sleeping and napping in here. It gets very, very hot though. I call this my garden of whimsy. It is mostly containers and seed-grown annuals, as well as my fig. Oh, I gotta show you this fig. Oh my gosh. I've been waiting to pick these figs. Look at them. Oh, they are so delicious. My plant, however, it needs a bigger pot. And a bigger pot is not something I can handle. So I'm gonna try to root prune it. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. I did start a cutting of this just in case it goes wrong. But before I show you the Garden of Whimsy, I want to show you this is where I see that little pocket garden with the orange zinnias and the leonotis and my bearberry. And you can kind of see the calendula there. I love this. I love the statement that it makes with the colors, because I'm normally not an orange person. This is my staging area that I use for my business for most of the season, and then it turns into a personal little space to stash things. And I am sorry about nothing that is left that never got planted here, except for one thing, these sunflowers. I started these sunflowers and I had an idea, and then I just didn't have any place to put them. So I'm just enjoying them here. So my Garden of Whimsy has my favorite marigold. This is a tall marigold. It looks great in vases. It makes great cut flower arrangements. I've got a lot more nigella in here. I will put things that need to overwinter, over summer outside, like the succulents and the rosemary. These are the snapdragons that I grow from seed that just self-sow now. I love that color. I love my little begonia. This is the pot that I take in for the winter, and then I take my cuttings. This is an abutilon. That is a house plant that I keep. There are more African daisies. That's what this is. They have not bloomed quite yet over in here. And this is a little fairy garden for my granddaughters. It's kind of overgrown. You can see the little path leading up to the little arbor, little fairy house. These are These are actually pots that I got at the Philadelphia Flower Show some years ago. They have succulents in them. There is a wreath back here that I made from our grapevines with some succulents on it. This is a jasmine. It's very busy. I don't really like very busy with things, but this is the appropriate place for it. More zinnias. These are my seed-grown celosia. I think these are so pretty. Always, always butterflies, moths, bees in the garden. This is Tamarillo. And yeah, the cat follows me around when I'm outside. This is Piper. She's the last of my cats. She is 16. She's a good girl. She's a fierce hunter though. Don't trip and fall in front of her. And this is my potting area, my outside potting area with some more coleus and a few houseplants. I've let this area go wild with Queen Anne's lace for the summer. There's a bottle brush buckeye right there. Those are my girls. They turn weeds into beautiful soil. These are my elderberries that are done for this year. They produce so much, and I'm just so grateful. My freezer is full of elderberries. So this shade garden right by my hose here looks fantastic. It was hidden by the elderberries. They were so heavy, it was hidden for most of the season. This carex I grew from seed, and it is one of my favorite things. There is some thyme growing right there. Some columbine that next year it will be so pretty, that pink and purple color. This is fried bananas, hosta with humpback whale in the back. Some beautiful Japanese forest grass. My hydrangea. This garden right here kind of took a big hit this year. It needs to be rejuvenated. So I'm going to spend some time working on it this fall. There's a lot of hostas in here. Some of them still look really great. There's a lot of persicaria that I love this plant. I did pull a lot of it this year because it does get out of control. This is Painter's Palette is the variety. My oak leaf hydrangea. I'm going to turn around though because I want to show you this little garden right here that has more of that carex growing in it, with some spirea that is just starting to perk up again after the summer. This is where I grow the large tomatoes, and they are mostly done, but I do want to show you. If you're a tomato grower, I got to show you this. This is spoon tomato right here on the end, but it really takes up a lot of space. So we got a lot of tomatoes. When I say a lot of tomatoes, I mean a lot of tomatoes from this garden right here. Most of them are done. The tomato plants are just done, but there are a few that are still shining and look great that I want to tell you about. This is Pantano Romanesco. Yes, I know the foliage looks so tired. I've just stopped removing the leaves. I know, I shouldn't say that. I do go through and remove leaves, but just not as meticulously. This is chocolate chestnut. Chocolate chestnut just is a fantastic medium-sized tomato. Fruity, juicy, very tasty. But the shining star, if you need a more disease-resistant heirloom, this is Bonnie Best. And it is a producer. She's a go-getter, this Bonnie Best is. Look at the size tomato. So this is definitely a winner, and I sell quite a few of these plants to people. So I'm kind of, and so on behind it here, I'm going to show you, hold on. So behind the tomatoes is this hillside garden that I plant with things that really spread, because I don't want to mess with hills as I get older. I just want something just to cover it and take over. I do have some milkweed down here in the front. This is the orange milkweed here, but I've got echinacea all over the place. I've got the fall blooming tall aster Terrace. There is goldenrod growing, and it's fine that it can stay for a while, but I will pull that. This is skullcap. This is an herb. I make tinctures out of this for myself. Helps with sleep and dreams. This is, what is this one? This one's the orange lemon balm, I believe. So I've planted that all through here. Rose campion. I am not, very rarely will you hear me say, I don't like a plant. I don't like rose campion. I don't like the way it comes up everywhere. This is, I do like other aggressive plants though, like this Rosa rugosa that's growing here that I grow for the rose hips for vitamin C. And there's always milkweed everywhere because of the monarch butterflies that I help along their way. And this garden as well needs attention. I need to re-edge it, and the back looks great. I've got Amsonia and Clethra and Montauk daisy and some more goldenrod and some dappled willow, but I have not touched this garden at all this year. There was just too many other things to do, and right now I'm in the preservation portion of the program where I'm trying to preserve the harvest. And speaking of the harvest, these are blackberries here growing on my old grill canopy. And I did a video on this. This is one of the best things that I have done this year. I love how these are growing. So I've got my very mature plant growing there, and then I've got two younger plants. One, this is a transplant, and then this one is a purchased one. Then next year I can't wait to see how these turn out. I've been picking now for about 4 weeks, big bowls every day, good size bowls every day. This is a great blackberry. Love, love, love it. I planted a little bit of grass this year. There was a lot of work in this little small area. There's always a lot of work. I've got some hanging baskets of begonias. That I will try to overwinter the little corms that are in there. These two raised beds, I didn't do anything with this one, and then that back one, I just threw some peppers in it. And let me tell you something, this gets dappled sun, and these peppers did really well. I was very impressed. So this is Jimmy Nardello, and this is more of that violet sparkle. And even the Thai basil. Even the Thai basil did really okay here in the dappled sun. So I'm thinking next year I'm probably going to do more of the same in these containers. I've got more hosta Over here, I love my hosta, love it. My favorite, goodness gracious, my endless summer hydrangea. These are mostly young hosta right here, dancing queen, some hellebores. So I always look forward to the next year after you plant hosta, the first year hostas or the second year hosta. I look forward to year 3. And then one more little pot of coleus here for my girls. That's their rooster right there. So it's been a long, hot summer. I have to tell you, one of my favorite places to be has been in the shade gardens. So if you stayed to the end, thanks for sticking around. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed spending time with me in the garden today. And I just love sharing my love of gardening. So subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on the next adventure in gardening. See you soon.